Miller coming to you live, not live, it's recorded, not live, from the van again, doing a review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Rogue One rated PG-13, lots of fantasy violence, and people dying, lots of people dying. I think if you think about some of the actual Star Wars stories, there's more people dying in this movie than what you would see in a normal Star Wars story. Blatantly dying, too. So I'm going to do my best to not spoil this movie, but we'll see what happens. So just in case, spoilers. You got to say it. Otherwise, people will be like, oh, you told me something that was amazing, and it spoiled it. So, spoilers. So, Rogue One is about a band of Rebel Alliance characters, and we meet a lot of them, that band together to get the Death Star plans to give to the Rebels to blow up the ship in Episode 4. That's the gist. That's it. It stars a bunch of characters, a whole lot of characters that I didn't have a chance to memorize their names, and it puts us on more planets than any other movie in the Star Wars franchise. So let's just get into it. What was the good parts? This movie was great. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that say, well, the story wasn't that great, or the characters weren't that great. But I think overall, I think that the story, which took a simple idea, one little point, one plot point from the original Star Wars stories, episodes 4, and how to blow up the Death Star, they took that piece and they're like, okay, let's fill in this plot point now. Let's give the audience how we got this plans for blowing up the Death Star, and get those plans. That's our story. I think that's great. It fills in your mind's eye those things that you kind of had a thought of when watching Episode 4. How did they get those plans? I mean, they hinted at the plans. They showed you the plans in Episode 3, right? And then you get to Episode 4, and it's like, well, how in the world did they get the plans, though? So this movie, episode, we'll call it 3.5, goes and tells you how they got those plans. So, now, I think that the storytelling in this movie was good. I think that the actors were really good. I mean, Forrest Whitaker's in this movie. We all know that he's in this movie because he's in the previews. And Forrest Whitaker could have just come in and done his Forrest Whitaker voice and played it, the way it is. But when you see him, he's changed his voice. He's got these eye twitches. He's got this breathing machine. He's got these robot legs. I mean, you're looking at him, and just so you know, he is a character originally from the Clone Wars cartoon series, which you can find on Netflix. And so they brought him to life, and Forrest Whitaker, I think, just acted the snot out of this character. And, you find yourself getting this emotional connection, not to Forrest Whitaker's character, but to even droids. K2SO is a droid in this movie that you find yourself getting this emotional connection to. And I think, before you had a very robot-esque character droids in the prequels, the droid army, and in the originals with C-3PO, very, very movie like that. But K2SO was motion captured and voiced, and I think that he did a great job. And he's a character, he's just speaking his mind, a droid that got reprogrammed from the Empire, and he's just speaking his mind and what he's thinking. If computers can speak their minds. So I think that the character development in this, though quick, some of them were fantastic. Again, I really liked K2SO. I liked Forrest Whitaker's character. Jin is our heroine, and she did by Felicity Jones. There we go. And I think that was a great character. I love the fact that and I love the Jedi Guardian. I can't think of his character. He was the blind guy in it. I think he is great also. He's not a Jedi. I think that might be a spoiler. He's not a Jedi, but he is Force sensitive. So he was a guardian of the Kyber crystals on the planet Jedha, which was a home of the Jedi, the first Jedi temple. And so the Empire comes in and kicks him out of his job, basically. And so I think that character is really great. I think the movie is throwing you so many characters and places that it's just like, So, what's something else that was good? Like I said, I thought that the characters were great. They brought us to, I think it was like 8 different planets in this movie. And if you think back to the original trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6, you really only get 3. You get 3 planets that you're basically on, maybe 4. And then if you think of the second trilogy, 1, 2, and 3, you really are on 3 planets. And then you get episode 7, The Force Awakens, and I think that you only get like 2 planets. So in this episode 3.5, Rogue One, you get like 8 planets that you're like, try to keep it all. This is not a bad part. This is a good part. They're expanding the universe, and they're just showing all of this. And it's not, the universe is not, 3 or 4 planets. It's lots of planets, and they're finally expanding that how that works. And they're showing you more of where the Empire is at and what they're doing on different planets. And so that's cool. So the actors are acting their butts off. You find yourself that you're getting this emotional connection to these characters that you're not really going to see for very long. And the scenery is just beautiful. Beautiful scenery. And the story is good. The story is not people are saying, well, it's a self-contained story. In that you're not going to get sequels of this movie. You're not going to get sequels of this movie. I can't tell you why, because that's a major spoiler. So you get these characters that, it's really quick. But this movie is not, it's self-contained in that there's not going to be a sequel. There's not going to be a Rogue 2. But it's filling in the gaps created from the original prequel trilogy to connect it to the original trilogy and how did we get the Death Star plans? Okay, so what was the bad parts? Geeky Star Wars fanboy. There were stuff that wasn't great. I said that it wasn't a problem, but they threw dozens of characters at you, and you did not. And it's not like they have easy names. It's not like you have a Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie. Those are easy. You have huge names, and it's like I do not have a chance to even memorize who any of these people are and what their names are. So good luck with that. So in the end, you find yourself enjoying the movie, but like for me, I'm trying to describe who a character's name is, and I really can't because I don't know his name. so I gotta describe him by what he looks like. He's the blind dude, or he's the dude from with the long hair and the giant gun, or he's the Mexican. He truly is Mexican. So I'm not trying to be ill-sensitive there, but it's things like that. And she's the girl. Her name's Jin. I do remember that. So that's the downside. Lots of people being thrown at you, and you don't have a chance to really connect with them. The other downside, it's a cool side but downside, but they brought back Grand Moff Tarkin. Great. I think this is wonderful, and they should, for the simple fact that he is the commander of the Death Star in Episode 3. So you got to kind of fill in that gap, how he gets to be the commander in charge of the Death Star. But the problem is, he is CGI'd in. You look at him and it's like, oh, we're not quite there yet. Not yet. And it's not like he's on there for like 5 seconds. No. He's on there for like 20 minutes. And it's just like, and he's interacting with other humans, and you just look at it and it's like, oh, no, that doesn't work right. It's like they're trying really hard on his facial features to get them to move correctly. So I think Grand Moff Tarkin, though cool that he's back and it gets us an explanation of why, how he gets to be in control of the Death Star, I think it was a bad decision to put him in. I think that you could have gotten away with maybe doing an actor that could have done that. But I don't know. There's just something about the nostalgia of Grand Moff Tarkin, and so there's that. But that did lead up to a cool scene at the end with Princess Leia, and she's only on screen for like 5 seconds, and so that use of her as CGI was much better than the use of him as CGI. So there's that. Other bad stuff, I think that's it. That's the bad stuff. Ooh, I forgot to tell you this about the good stuff. Darth Vader, he's only glimpsed at in the trailers. In this movie, the runtime being about 2.5 hours, his total time in the movie is like a glimpse. There's a moment that you see him in his palace. There's no other way to describe it. And it's the only planet that they don't put a subtitle on, and I'm saying it's Mustafar. And I think that I've seen a number of other people say that that's what they think it is also. But there's his character shows up there, and you see him in this bath, and you see him getting ready, and James Earl Jones' voice comes on, and it's like, ah! And so that was cool. And you might be okay with that's it that you're going to get with Darth Vader, and you'd be okay with that. But at the end, there's this fight scene of Vader versus, it really is just Vader versus rebels on a spaceship. And you're like, and he says, prepare the boarding team. And you're like, holy crap, we're getting right into episode 4. Let's do it. It was amazing. But it's not. It was not him getting into the same ship on episode 4. But I would pay good money, $15. That's good money in movie money. I'd pay $15 movie money to go and watch a 2.5 hour Darth Vader movie of him just at the height of his power and just taking it to the rebels. I would watch that movie. Because in the original trilogy, he's, we get him, there's this arc. Here he is at the height of his power, and the original trilogy, he's kind of going down in each movie. His power subset is just going down and down and down. So I think that here you got him right at the peak, man. You got it. And let's just say this. I say here he's right at his peak, and I said episode 4 he's like right here, and he's going down, down, down. Well, in reality, this movie, when I went into this movie, I was like, oh, this is taking place 1, 2, 3 years before episode 4. Episode 4. In reality, it's taking place like 2 days before episode 4. That's how close they are. Anyway, so the Darth Vader scene, it's like 5 minutes at the end. It's amazing. And that's worth the money. That whole fight scene, the whole final fight scenes is just fantastic with the X-Wings against the Star Destroyers and the Corvette Hammerhead ship versus the Star Destroyers and the AT-ATs on the beach. I mean, this thing, and then Darth Vader showing up on the Rebel ship. This thing is just amazing. This is like us kids that were in the 80s and we thought about, this is how I would do Star Wars. It's that. So this movie was made by fanboys for fanboys. And I think that it is a fantastic movie. So, Brian Miller, small town movie watcher. I got done watching Rogue One, a Star Wars story, rated PG-13, and I think that this is definitely a movie that you should go and see, like right now. Right now. I'm going to go see it a second time. So, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you again soon.